we got some trades to talk about.
Yes, we do. Let's get right into it.
Jasmine and Steve. Low-key blockbuster. Jasmine gets Gus Edwards. Steve's 2026 fourth. Hit Matt's 2024 second, and also his own, Jasmine's own 2024 second. Gives away James Conner, Terry McLaurin, and Zach's 2024 second. What are your thoughts?
I like the trade for Steve. I'll say that. It gives Steve a couple weapons, as he's been talking about throughout the early part of the season, is that the Swallow division is anyone's. So definitely bolsters the core. I think he got him at a decent price. They are on the older side, so I don't know if it's going to be a case of maybe later in the year Steve flips these guys, maybe gets a couple seconds back. Who knows? Little confusing from Jasmus. I feel like, yeah, the season hasn't gotten off to a great start, but you're missing Eckler and Cup, which most fantasy teams wouldn't be able to recover from, or at least, you know. And it's not like Jazz is not being competitive. Did he get blown out last week?
He
lost by 50, but he was also playing Zach.
Yeah, he hasn't had the best.
Hey, 104 gets the job done against me.
True, but he also lost to Matt by 30.
And he lost to Evan by 5.
Yeah, but that was also with Eckler and such.
It's slightly... I feel like, starting off the year banged up, it always looks rough. Maybe I would have stuck around just to see when Cup comes back, if anything changes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Jasmus, this clearly kind of seems like a sign of him blowing it up, at least somewhat. When you did look at his team, you were like, man, if this team is healthy for the whole year and bye weeks don't happen, he's got a good team on paper. I was there after my championship in 2019, and then it was like an injury happened, and another injury happened, and then I sucked. And I didn't really sell anything. I kind of have hung around in the middle, and I haven't hit the playoffs since, so maybe I managed my situation wrong. I kept thinking, like, hey, maybe I could still get to the playoffs, and then didn't, and then it was a lot of ups and downs. If you look at his team, James Conner, how much is he going to have after this year? I think he's going to be a free agent. He's 28, a lot of carries. The Cardinals are bad, and he's like most of their offense.
Yeah.
What's going to happen next year when they have more picks, kind of like a whole new team? Where does he end up? He could be worth nothing next year. We've seen it with the likes of like Melvin Gordon, Lev Bell, a lot of these RBs in the past. It's like, oh yeah, they're worth something. Next thing you know, they're worth absolutely nothing. So I think that's like a fear with James Conner. But for this year, he's going to play. He's going to get carries. He's going to get you fantasy points. So he's a good asset for this year. Obviously not worth a ton. Terry, he's had a okay start to the season. I don't think he's been lighting the world on fire. Again, kind of older. And the seconds he got in this trade, his own, where if he does blow it up, will probably be a very early second. Matt, again, doesn't have the best team. He's sitting at, 1-2 right now?
Yeah.
Could also be another high second. And if we're looking at the draft last year, those high seconds, it's like that could be a Sam Laporta who is doing very well for Matt. Like Jaden Reed was like the last pick in the first. It's like that changes by one pick. It's like that could be a very nice piece to add to your team. Like there's been some good value in these high seconds in the past drafts. Michael Pittman's been there. Like there's Amon-Ra was there. So there's people you could get. The early second isn't the same as like the pick he gave away, Zach second, who might be a champion, where that's the difference between pick like 15 and 22, I'd say can be a big difference. So getting those early seconds, like they're not as valuable as first, but you can kind of help build around those picks. And then Gus Edwards, it's like, yeah, that's a guy you could still play, I guess.
Plug in there.
With no,
And I kind of like it for Steve, like just in case this doesn't work out. It's a pick back. It is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, on the website, it's saying that all of these picks belong to Steve, and
he got Zach's second.
Zach's second. So it's not. Zach's looking pretty good. Probably a later one, but at least it's a little insurance there.
Yeah, and this gives Steve a lot better of a chance to kind of be competitive. Two guys you could feel pretty comfortable playing in your lineup each week. I think maybe Jasmus could have got a little bit more value for Terry, like only given a third back instead of the second. Like something.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Especially since you just traded Tyreek for
Terry
and Evan Ingram in like a second. So it's like you basically turned Tyreek Hill into
Gus Edwards.
But like seconds, like 3-4 seconds. Where it's again Tyreek's kind of old, but like you could still probably get a first plus a set, like something like that for him. So that is a little questionable. But if no one's offering a first or whatever, you can't force someone to do it.
No,
unless you have Cherry's gun. Then you
then
might be able to.
You might be able to, but even Cherry hasn't pulled out his gun in a while.
True. But speaking of Cherry's gun, that's the next trade we have here. Cherry got Njoku, Trevor got Tyler Conklin, a third, and Cherry's 2026 second.
I don't hate the trade. It's Conklin, I don't think has been amazing this year, and Njoku's kind of I don't think Njoku's had a decent couple weeks, I believe. I haven't really been keeping up with my David Njoku stuff, and again, the sleeper app website is not treating me nicely.
He's had 4 points, 6 points, and 6 points.
That's pretty solid for a tight end this year.
Yeah. I do think here, this is always like the Trevor cycle. Trades all of his picks, and then throughout the year, he just kind of starts getting some back. Got a second from you with the Chubb trade last week. Gets a second and a third here. We're going to be like, oh, interesting. He'll probably get like a first at some point. Be like, oh, wow. And then he'll probably trade all those for somebody. Trevor's always making moves, always flipping stuff. He's always been competitive. So, yeah, I think Cherry, for him being 3-0, Mayer was not cutting it.
Yeah.
At all. And I guess he couldn't feel like Durham Smythe was the answer either. Either was Noah Gray, and I can't really blame him. So I think Njoku at least gives you an upside there. You're competitive a little bit earlier than you thought you were going to be. Go out there, get a tight end that could help compete with facing some of the other better tight ends.
Yeah. I also think that Tyler Conklin kind of is like a almost boomer bust tight end. I know he usually does worse than he does better, but you plug him in the right week.
Yeah, he does have Tock, so I don't think Conklin's going to be seeing the field much besides maybe on like a bye. But again, he has a few of those boomer bust guys, so we'll see. But then, yeah, those were the trades. We should also... Evan.
Sorry, buddy.
Evan gets hit again.
It's not fair. Why couldn't it be me?
Lost Mike Williams. ACL.
It's the second guy he's lost for the year.
Lost Dobbins already. There was a lot of high expectations for Evan. We thought, hey man, he could make the playoffs this year, really make a good push, but still has a solid roster, starting lineup, but losing that two basically starters really hurts the depth going forward, hurts this team. Very, very unlucky for him.
Yeah. Like I said, it's like the Chubb injury. Like that couldn't happen to a less deserving guy.
Yeah.
You know, I think there were some questions about Evan's integrity, And I want to shut those down and just say, listen, man, this guy deserves to be good. And it seems like every year, just shit happens.
Sock League is against Evan.
Yeah. We have to investigate this. I'm calling on my commissioner to investigate this.
Yeah, let's call him up. Also, what are your thoughts about this Devon Achane? He said there was something where he pronounced his name in an interview. It's not A-Chain.
It's Devon Achane.
I don't even think it's that. It's like Achan. It's something.
Here we go. Devon Achane pronunciation. Achan. It's Devon Achane. It only took us, 5 months to get it right?
Yeah. I'll still probably never say it like that. I'll still say A-Chain. But what are your thoughts on his performance just dropping 50? Do you think this is going to keep up?
Knowing how my season's going, Jazz is playing me this week. I wouldn't be shocked.
You think it's sustainable at all?
Oh, absolutely not. But again, with the way my season's going, Devon Achane might outscore my team this week.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
That definitely could happen.
Like, Hurts might be the only player on my team right now that is keeping me like above 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not great.
But I think that was one of the most. He's RB6 on the year.
He's played one game?
Besides this game, he has one carry. Pretty good. I think that's a. Yeah, I just couldn't believe it. 50. I was obviously playing Mostert, who put up 45 too. It was not. That game, let's scratch that from our memories.
Now I'll say this. If there's a coach who deserved a 70 bomb the most, it's Sean Payton.
It was hilarious.
It was one of the funniest things of the week.
Yeah, but I thought that just deserved some light because it was insane.
Yeah. I mean, just the Dolphins in general. I mean, 95 fantasy points from their two running backs.
Yeah, their third RB got like 6. Like their RBs dropped like 100.
Yeah.
I saw something. If you started their lineup, you would have had like 200 points.
The Chosen Anderson.
Yeah.
The player formerly known as Robbie got a touchdown from Mike White.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
What a week. And now, let's get into the power rankings. And here we are, power ranking.
Number 12, Ryan.
Yeah. It's been no secret that you've been bad. I was looking at it. I think there was maybe like 4 or 5 teams that in 2 weeks scored more points than you have in 3.
Yeah.
So, you go with the fact that that's not good.
Not great.
But, finally getting Christian Watson back.
It's about fucking time, dude.
I think that'll definitely help you. I don't know if it's going to make you into a contender or anything.
I guess Marvin's coming home, just not the way I thought it was going to.
But Watson, definitely good player, really good last year for you. Especially towards end of the year.
It rattled off like 7 touchdowns in 4 games.
Just kind of went crazy, and this will be a piece for you to, I'm sure you're hoping, to build around in the future. So getting him back, hoping that he could live up to expectations from last year, and then hopefully kind of had a few bad Brees weeks.
Hopefully he gets it going. He gets cooking.
Yeah, it hasn't been great, but then there have been some signs of life from Roshan, kind of getting more snaps each week, and Zay Flowers still kind of like gadgety, a lot of close to the line of scrimmage stuff, but some promise there. So yeah, don't know if you're going to be seeing the playoffs this year, but
Playoffs. I just want to get a win.
yeah. But if these young guys could start to pick it up, maybe even break 100.
Whoa, now, yeah, hang on there, buddy. Well, let's crack 90. Let's crack 90. We're baby steps.
Yeah,
I didn't know I was back this far, but here we are.
yeah, but you're just looking for these young guys to go out show something.
Yeah, that's. If I have a game where I'm like, hey, I'm kind of in it, works for me.
Number 11, Jasmus.
Who I happen to play this week. Stay tuned for that.
Jasmus has also not been good at all. He's got the
He's got the cheese touch.
yeah, he's got the second least amount of points scored. Also 0-3. Kind of seems like he's starting to sell.
Yeah, we talked earlier about the McLaurin and James Conner trade.
Do you think he goes all in with the sell, or what do you kind of see happening with this team in the future?
If you asked me last week, I would say maybe Jazz tries to just get younger. But then obviously he made the trade where it was mainly the picks were the prize of the trade. So maybe he does go all in and just decides, hey, might as well. Maybe he says, hey, Adam has my first. Y'all ever heard of Austin Eckler?
Yeah, I think he could definitely pull off something like that. I think he's in a tough spot being 0-3.
Yeah.
Still not having Cooper Kupp back with the way Puka's been playing. Are they going to feed Kupp 15 targets again? I'm not saying that I think Puka's going to outdo Cooper Kupp for the rest of the season.
You were
but
getting Trevor excited there for a second.
True, he loves his Puka talk.
But I mean, it's good talk.
Will it be a little bit more split instead of seeing Kupp where he's been as like the wide receiver one? Will he fall to a wide receiver one and just be good instead of phenomenal, winning you games on his own? But I think there's definitely some fear. Clock's kind of ticking on this team, looking more like a ticking time bomb now. Because if you think about it, Eckler's already 28, Kupp 30. Those are kind of like those age apexes for a lot of these guys.
I swear to God, I thought Kendrick Bourne was like 40. I thought he's been in the league for a millennia.
Ingram's 29. It's
Najee's getting replaced.
Yeah, 25, but again, RBs don't always have the longest shelf life, especially when you're not super efficient, kind of like how Najee's been. Isaiah Pacheco, another guy that's been okay, but kind of like up and down, could easily be replaced, kind of just like a power running back. And when you look at like the youth of this team, it's Devon
A-Chan.
A-Chan, who did look amazing.
Yeah.
Looked great last week. Huge heartbeat for Jasmus going forward. But if you don't sell now, while you could still get a first for Kupp, while you could still, or even more, where you could still get more than a first probably for Eckler, you could still get second plus maybe for Amari, could get stuff for like Najee and Pacheco. If you don't sell them now, there's a chance that, yeah, you could be good enough, but is just sneaking into the playoffs where you want to be? Or do you go out there, again, come to me, Cherry, who has his first next year, me, who has his first this year, or just anybody that's willing to buy, get some of these like rookies that are kind of unproven, get some firsts, get some picks.
Some younger guys that maybe don't have a huge role yet, but could.
Yeah, and build around that youth and those draft picks instead of holding on for too long, and now it's next year. Eckler's on a new team and old, and in a split timeshare, and no one wants to even. The best you're getting is a late second, and your team doesn't look any better, and it's too late, and now it's a long rebuild instead of some of these quick turnarounds that we've seen with Ethan and Cherry recently. You're in more of that Matt rebuild.
Long rebuild sucks.
The Matt and Ryan rebuild.
I've been 2 years away for 3 years.
But moving on, we got James. James.
This is a weird one. This is kind of similar to Ethan last year, I want to say.
Yeah, I was doing some digging, looking at James's schedule. First 5 weeks, Griff, 3-0, up there in the power rankings. Zach, 3-0, up there in the power rankings. Cherry, 3-0, up there in the power rankings. So far he's played a combined 9-0. At least he gets a nice easy week this week with Ethan, who's 2-1, right up there in the power rankings. But then after that, at least he gets to take a deep breath and relax with Zach again, who's 3-0. This might be one of the hardest 5-game stretches that you could possibly have, especially without buys, where all of these teams, besides week 5, there's going to be buys, but hitting all of these teams at full strength,
not fun.
Even if James was playing well, would still be pretty difficult to have a winning record against these guys.
I will say his team looked better this week.
Yeah, he got up to 115, broke 100 the past 2. First week was kind of the down week. Debo's looked good. Dameon Pierce started to get more of that role that we've kind of expected from him. Pickens has definitely played well to start the season. Drake London had the 1-up week. Down, up, down. We'll see if he goes back up again. Again, it'll be interesting. Probably going to start 0-5 unless he pulls off a big upset. But then after that, a lot of winnable games to end the year. Can he get hot, rally off some wins? Or is it just going to be man, we started 0-5 too late. We got to pull the plug and blow this up.
This might be a scenario where maybe you're waiting until like later, like closer to the deadline to sell. I know a lot of teams will get like 5 to 6 weeks in. Maybe James holds off to like week 8 just to kind of see. It will be tough, especially if he starts out 0-5 as projected. But you also take a look at it. He has scored. He has
about
almost
300.
About 300, which is he scored 0.4 more points than Steve, who's 2-1. But he's also had 432 against them. The only person with the harder schedule is you, at 444.
Yay,
Adam. My schedule's been hard, right? Yeah.
I think the big difference here, his team is more of similar to you than kind of where Jasmus is. He's got Pickens, second-year guy. London, a second-year guy. Pierce, a second-year guy. Like Kate Otten at tight end, again, only 24. He does have a few pieces that if he is looking to sell off, could sell, like Brennan Cooks, who's 30, but hasn't done much. I don't know who's exactly in the market to buy Cooks. Could sell Debo, but again, Debo's 27, so you expect a few more good years, but has looked really good, so like I could see that happening. And then also like a Madison who had a good week, but also sucks at the same time. Could sell there, so doesn't have as many pieces to kind of ship off for as big of a return as Jasmus. But similar to you, hopes those young guys could kind of start performing, look good, and then I think he's got like 2 firsts in the upcoming draft, hoping that those picks could kind of turn into something and build a young core around. At the 9, we got Matt. I don't think the bottom of this power rankings really changed much.
No.
Just Jasmus and James have flipped from last week. But yeah, Matt, 1-2, hasn't looked horrible,
But also not great.
but also nothing to really fear. Garrett Wilson losing Rodgers and being stuck with Zach Wilson has definitely put a damper to this parade, as a lot of people were taking him as like a top 12 wide receiver one finish. Doesn't look like that's going to happen now. I think if he was, Matt's team would be in a very different scenario, kind of led by a wide receiver one, putting up 20 each week. Would look a little bit more intimidating than kind of, again, just a bunch of solid players. But Laporta has looked amazing. He's tight end 2 on the year as a rookie in his first 3 games. I think Matt's gone on to say he's untouchable, which kind of fair. How often does a rookie tight end come out and do what Laporta's doing? And Josh Palmer probably gets a little bit of a boost with the
Mikey Wills.
Yeah, the injury that we kind of touched on. So, again, it's the best Matt's looked in years. Let's let him ride
I'm
with it.
happy for the guy.
He's not at 12. He's up at 9. There's teams below
He's got
him.
only one number. It's gone by now, but
Yeah. There's not 2 numbers next to Matt's name. Let's let him enjoy it, and let's see if he could pull out some wins, surprise some people. Number 8 is Steve. Steve took his first loss last week.
very close.
Yeah, it was a very close game. If he starts McKinnon, wins.
Yeah.
He did add Connor and McLaurin, and I think that makes Steve's team not feared, but respected. I think if you look at Steve's team now, was no longer a free win that he was when he was 2-0. But
yeah,
but-
man, fucking tell me about it.
now his team that's 0-1, you think, hey, maybe I can lose to this team. And yeah, it's a solid lineup.
Yeah. The only thing that I wanted to talk about, or I'll say the only bad thing I'm going to talk about, is that AJ Dillon might not be good.
Yeah, he's been very bad with
Yeah.
no Aaron Jones playing. Has not stepped up at all. Doesn't look very good, and hard to see him getting some run in the lineup again. But he also needs a form of life at the tight end position. If he's gonna try to go for it at all, make the playoffs, try to sneak in with the hot start he had. Kincaid hasn't really shown out yet, and Trey McBride also has not done really anything.
Yeah, it still seems like it's Ertz's team for the time being. Maybe that changes.
So
Buddy had 1 target for 2 yards.
yeah,
Pretty cool.
but his taxi's also been looking okay. Some youth there, some old guys. Fix the tight end position, and if he could rally off some wins, could find himself in the playoffs. Who knows what could happen?
Very well could.
Number 7, I have myself.
You had a solid showing. You can't complain about 130
Yeah,
that range.
I was disappointed, but then I realized my team didn't actually suck, and I think I was 5th highest scoring, but I did go up against Griff and 45 points from Raheem Mostert.
That will do it. That will do it.
Yeah. But again, a lot of my team kind of average. Zach Moss has looked great so far. Saquon coming back would definitely be nice. If the Broncos decided to play Marvin Mims more than like one play, would be nice.
Yeah. I mean, he got the big punt return or kick return.
Yeah, he's averaging 7 yards for every route he runs. Might want to keep that guy on the field.
Yeah.
But apparently not. What do I know? I didn't lose 20 to 70. But what do I know?
You think that like you get the young guys out there once you're down like 30 or whatever.
Nah, let's get little Jordan Humphrey.
Jordan. Fuck it. Out of context, Lil Jordan Humphrey.
Yeah, but
Montre didn't have a fantastic week, but the Jets' defense is pretty solid.
yeah, going up against another tough defense in Dallas, so might see another tough showing.
Is
but
that a primetime game?
I got no clue.
I wouldn't be shocked if Pat's Cowboys is primetime, and I'm ready to put the gun in my mouth.
Number 6, Evan.
Look at what they've done to my boy.
He still has a respectable starting lineup, but man,
That bench.
that bench is looking grim.
Melvin Gordon did a couple things. And he's young and spry.
Melvin Gordon isn't good.
But he's young and spry.
Yeah, I think the bench it's the fear, and it's going to be a reality soon. Bye weeks are going to hit. If another injury hits, even if it's just for like 3 weeks, it's going to hurt this team. We've heard some rumors here, some rumblings too, of Evan possibly. He said if he lost to Steve, he was going to sell. I could see him moving off of like a Miles Sanders, a Waller, a Hopkins. I know he said he wants to keep his core of like Waddle, Devontae,
Judy.
yeah, Gibbs, Herbert, like kind of keep that core together, which makes sense, but maybe if he gets the right offer, he will move off one of those guys. He also might just stick with this team and still see what happens. He is 2-1, so it's not a death sentence, but it just 2 season-long injuries from starters right away really puts a damper on this season.
Yeah, I don't know if you can count on 13 points from Olamide Zacchaeus on a weekly basis, but
I've been there, I've tried it, you can't.
the Ben Skowronek path.
Yeah. No, I had him too.
Oh, you did?
I think he had a start for me last year,
Is there the history on here? No.
but he was on my team last year, and I might have played him
Well,
once.
there it is. You traded him for Kenny Galladay.
He played 3 games for me, scored 6 points, 3 points, and then 3 points again.
Consistent.
So it doesn't work starting him.
It doesn't. Hey, but now he's at 13 this week. Like, who knows? Maybe this is the Olamide Zacchaeus
He had
breakout.
13.3 for me in 3 games.
He got 13.8 for Evan on the bench.
He hates me. Number 5, got Trevor. Power rankings are very similar to last week.
Yeah, but Trevor's on the way up.
Not much really changed. Trevor got his win, no longer winless.
He leaves the 0-3 club.
Yeah.
Or 0 number club.
Yeah. I'll touch on that again in a second, but is Jacobs bad?
He's looked rough. I think he's at like 1.8 yards a carry right now, which isn't fantastic.
Yeah, it hasn't been the best, and it's not like crazy hard matchups. One game he had negative yards.
Yeah, he did only get 9 attempts,
I think
and they were getting their doors blown off by Buffalo.
Yeah, I think he's at what, like 40 rushes, and I think 1 has gone over 7 yards. So, not very efficient. Kind of looks like Najee out there. Not a ton to be excited about.
Yeah.
It's also, what are your kind of thoughts on this whole Taylor situation? I've heard that he's going to be back. I've heard that he doesn't want to play for them if he doesn't get a contract, and they don't want to give him a contract. So when he's off this IR, is he playing? Is he not? Because I think if you add Taylor to this team, it's like, okay, we're chilling. If Taylor's still sitting out, wants that trade, losing Taylor's going to hurt your fantasy team.
Yeah, I guess it's worth holding out for now. I think if it gets later into the year and Taylor's like, I'm not gonna play, like I'm injured and my ankle hurts, um, I think maybe it's worth like dumping him off, maybe getting some more or available piece.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to
As
win
that
now.
cringy ass saying goes, the best ability is availability.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, Puka did not get 15 plus targets this game.
No.
Did still get 7 for 72 yards, still put up 12 points. Still looked solid out there. No one thought he was going to get 20 targets every week, but still solid enough. So that's the good sign for the Puka talk. 4, still have Cherry. Cherry pulled out another win, a close one against James.
Came down to Zamir White versus Cade Otton, and Zamir White got the job done.
Yeah, obviously Bijan didn't have the best week. They looked horrible. The Falcons did against the Lions.
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley also had another not great showing after his really good week 1.
Where was this when I played Cherry? The fuck? It's because I talked shit and was like, I don't think Calvin's getting fucking 18 points. It's like, yeah, fuck you, here's 24, but...
He had to prove you wrong.
Yeah, and then go back to being mid.
But Kenneth Walker, I think everybody was a lot lower on Walker going into the year, just because they drafted Sharbs. He does not seem to be giving Charbonnet any role.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a great draft pick by Cherry. Some would say one of the better picks of the last draft that definitely Cherry made and no one else.
But yeah, he's RB3 on the year. Looks very good. I was definitely a lot lower on him. I don't have like any of him in like any of my best ball leagues. Maybe like one place because I was like, man, it's going to be 50-50 split and Sharps is going to get it. Sharps did get a little bit more work last week, but yeah, Walker looks really good and he did add Njoku. I think this team is solid. Good lineup. We'll see if he decides to make any moves sitting there at 3-0 and with decent draft capital, or if he just stays pat.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Number 3, Ethan, 2-1.
He's good, man.
Put up 171 last week.
Bro, you didn't need to go that hard. Dude. I thought we agreed you weren't trying this week. That's why,
Keenan, 45. Jamar Chase finally had a Jamar Chase week with 26. Diggs had a good week. Travis Kelce showed out for his girl. Olave. Derrick Henry, the only concern. They said his foot's still kind of messed up. Didn't get a lot of carries. Only played 38% of snaps.
And was averaging 1.8 yards a carry.
Yeah, not the best.
Ideal.
But I think if his health comes back, which it should, Cherry's going to be... Ethan's going to be very dominant.
It's all right. It's tomorrow, so...
As he's been.
I mean, he probably should have started Rico Dowdle if he wanted a chance to crack 180, but, what do I know? I'm just the guy that scored fucking 69. Nice.
Number 2, we got Zach. Zach put up 155. McCaffrey did good. Devontae Adams put up 42. Ridiculous.
When can I get these guys?
Yeah.
That's 2/3 of the points that I scored. One MF.
Yeah.
If Zach started just Adams, McCaffrey, and Goff, he beats me. 3 players.
If he starts Adams and Adam Thielen, he beats you.
Yeah.
Adam Thielen went off on his bench. A lot of those Panthers receivers kind of look better with Dalton out there, the vet, a little more confident than Young.
I don't want to talk about it.
But, yeah, had good help there from the bench. Could maybe Thielen get a spot next week. Probably, but, again, this team, very strong. They're 3-0 for a reason.
When does basketball season start?
At number 1, we got Griff. I had the pleasure of going up against his 185 and Raheem Mostert's 45. Tank Dell's breakout with 25. Yeah.
I'm just kind of happy he wasn't playing me because I think that would have been the biggest win in history. Do you have that up?
We will check that soon. But it would have been big.
That it would have been 18 points. I don't know if that gets. I think there's been like a couple 120s, but who knows? All them
118.
just about.
The biggest ever is 131.
Oh, that was
Trevor versus Ethan in 2020.
So it would have been
But
top.
yeah, Griff looks very good. He still has depth. Moore looked good. Josh Downs is getting more involved. His young guys are looking good, and
His old guy looked good too.
his old guy, yeah, it's just looks very good. Has there ever been this much? I feel like thinking back, there's a lot of 3-0, then a lot of 0-3. I feel like in the past it was like maybe we had 1, 2, 0-3 teams like battling it out at like week 4 to see who would be the last one, and then the winless teams like maybe like a Matt or a Zach or a Ethan or whoever would be just winless for a while. But this feels like again a lot of 0-3 and a lot of 3-0.
I think one of the biggest things was, we had a lot of undefeated teams playing a 1-1 or an 0-2 team. For instance, you had Cherry with James, you had Zach with Jasmus. So, and even if you look back to like week 2, which is obviously more understandable because half the league is going to be 0-1,
Yeah.
but even still there, Steve was 1-0, beat me. Griffin played 0-1. Trevor beat him. Zach played 0-1. James.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So I think that's where you're gonna get a lot of
I do wonder who will be the last undefeated. And
Oh, I raised my hand thinking you were gonna say the last winless, and
I think we know who that'll be. But
Me.
you'll find out our thoughts right here in matchup previews.
I like your pivots today. All right, and we're back with matchup previews. Adam, we're gonna kick it over to you for the numbies.
Okay.
How we do last week?
Well, first, we'll talk about the last week's matchups real quick. Trevor reached a 400 point differential against Matt. But Matt did break 100 for the first time since 2019.
Okay, that will help.
But yeah, Trevor's up 400 points, easily the most in the league. Evan and Steve, they really only play close games.
They do.
And Evan and Evan. But Evan is officially 500 all time at exactly 35-35. So he sits perfectly.
I remember when I was 500,
500.
last year.
Uh,
The fall.
we talked about you versus Ryan. You versus Ethan.
Yeah, it's close, blowout, close, and
And
then,
we did get that blowout. This one was by 100 points.
Can we fuck off with that?
We've put that. It's joined the other biggest blowouts ever, but you are the lowest one that's above 100 points. So it's the 8th biggest blowout all time. Biggest blowout since
It was.
you beating Matt last year in week 5. So the tables have obviously turned.
Yeah, I kicked my own matchup off. The one shining moment on that list of accomplishments.
Yeah.
I think that's the only time mentioned where I got a win and I kicked myself off.
And then James and Cherry, they played their closest game to date. So yeah, it was like a
That's pretty cool.
3 or 4 or 5 point differential. But yeah, it was their closest game so far. And then how did we do?
How did we do?
We both went 3-0.
Look at us go. But
I took a little bit more risks, had a little bit more value on the points. So I got 12.7 points last week. You got 9.6.
so that means
now
you're
the leader with 31.5 points. This guy, Second place with 29.6. That guy. So I'm up almost a clear 2 points.
It's going to make some up. I at the first pick for what I think is the first time. Did I pick first week 1? I'm not sure.
Yes, because I won
Last year, yeah. Okay. So this is my second time picking first. I'm going to be bold. I'm bold, off rip. For a whopping 5.7 points, I'm taking them War Eagles. And here's my reasoning. Have I looked terrible? Absolutely. Has it been rough? 100%. But here's where I think that I might have an edge. I'm getting Christian Watson back.
He's getting Eckler back?
Maybe. Because the thing is, Eckler today goes, my foot is fine when I run straight.
Yeah.
But when I'm running and I have to turn, it hurts. Chargers also have a bye week next week. Wouldn't be the worst decision to say, hey, take it out. We don't really need you. We'd rather, not have you week 4 than not have you the rest of the season. Also, not a huge fan of some of the matchups that Jasmus's players have. The Jets are a very solid defense, taking on Pacheco. Cowboys have been good against receivers, so that would negate Kendrick Bourne. Allen Robinson might not even play. He missed practice today. And is he good? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I really like your reasoning here. I think maybe Najee gets something going versus Houston. And will Achane...
The only thing that will sink me is if Achane gets 50 again.
Another 50 bird.
Yeah, which wouldn't shock me at this point.
But yeah, I do very much like your the thought process there.
The percentages can change, obviously, because my flex spots are currently Cam Akers and DJ Chark. Who knows what they'll be come Sunday morn. But,
yeah. Funny about this one, you have a winning record of 3-2 all time. But you guys have officially only played the minimum. This is our 6th year, and this will be the 6th time you matched up. So you guys never met in the playoffs, and you've never doubled up matchups in the same year. I'm unsure. I don't think you guys play twice this year.
No, we don't.
So unless both of these 0-3 teams match up in the playoffs...
We'll see Jasmus next year.
You'll see him next year, maybe again for the minimum.
Hey, if we both finish last, we have a double matchup next year. So,
True.
But if I get it together, maybe not. That's a good one. All right.
This does tie into exactly what we were just talking about at the Bender Power Rankings. 2 0-3 teams. Someone's got to win.
This is the week where we get the fucking tie.
But sticking with that theme, I'm going to make my first pick of 2 3-0 teams going at it, and I'm going to take Zach over Cherry for 4.2 points.
All right, you going with? I think that's a pretty safe option. Walker playing the Giants. Their run defense isn't the worst I've seen. Not the greatest, but Bijan against Jacksonville. Jacksonville is pretty stout against the run this year. Whereas Mixon versus Tennessee, I don't think Tennessee's run defense has been fantastic.
No.
Also, Devontae versus the Chargers. The Chargers' corners have been turnstiles this year. A tough matchup for Evans. Kittle might run wild on Arizona if the other 3 weapons on the team don't as well.
Yeah, I do wonder if we see Zach sneak Adam Thielen into his lineup going up against Minnesota. Minnesota,
another turnstile.
Horrible defense, and coming off a big week last week. Will he go in for maybe like a Brian Robinson up against Philly, where Philly might just dominate them, kind of ditch the run game, kind of like what they did last week, and that's why Robinson only had 10 carries, still pretty efficient in them. But again, Cherry starting Sky Moore against the Jets. Don't love that. Rashad White against New Orleans. Probably going to be pretty tough. And Njoku still hasn't really got anything going. So I think Zach just kind of better matchups, but I think the better talent gets the win. And Zach is 4-3 versus Cherry. But all of Cherry's wins have been by 50-plus points. So when Cherry wins...
It's big.
He wins big. So I think Zach just pulls out a close one.
All right. For my next pick, I didn't really get past the first one. Do I go bold here? How bold is bold?
How bold is bold?
How bold is bold? This is a tough one. This is a tough one. I'm gonna go and just try and get some what I think are secure points. I'm taking you over Matt. 4.3 points. Reasoning there is Kirk versus Carolina. Carolina's been the defense. You're not going to see much the first half, but then once you have the 8th 3-and-out in a row, the defense gets a little tired, and then you're probably going to see some points put up by Kirk. Doesn't hurt having Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison as well. Can't forget Cam Akers. DJ Moore versus Denver. We saw what happened to Denver last week. Not great. Sutton against Chicago in the ultimate toilet bowl.
Yeah, that game will be a joy to watch.
They should have put this game like tonight at 3 a.m. But and Tampa Bay's defense kind of against the receiver this year, kind of out of the Tampa that we're used to. Also, not loving Rashee Rice versus the Jets or Shaheed.
I'm a little bit worried about this matchup.
This could be a trap game.
Yeah, that's what it kind of feels like to me. This feels like one on the schedule that I need to mark down as a win if I want to be making the playoffs. And I don't know. Josh Palmer now with Mike Willard could be a good spot for him. Laporta against Green Bay on Thursday could get him off to a hot start. Buffalo versus Miami has the possibility to be a shootout, and James Cook could definitely go off there.
I could say the same thing about Vegas versus the Chargers.
That could as well. It's a little bit risky. I think the big question is Saquon's questionable right now. I think it's probably like a 80% chance he doesn't play, which it also makes it hard. He's playing on Monday. So if I choose to try to sneak him in, hoping he does play, I'd have to rely on Wandale to then go in for him. So even if he does play, I might not be able to kind of get him in because I won't want to take the risk. But I do think he's not going to play. Hopefully he gets ruled out early so I don't even need to worry about it.
Yeah.
But
is there 2 Monday night games or just one this week?
I think we're back to just one.
Okay. I didn't hate the doubleheader, but
yeah. But I'm 4-3 against Matt, but Matt, I think, has his best point differential against me. But let's double check that.
My biggest thing for picking is that Garrett Wilson, I know he's good, but it's not Rodgers throwing him that football. It's not Mike White, not Joe Flacco. Maybe it's going to be Trevor Siemian, but if the Chiefs do what they did last week, we might see some Trevor Siemian appearances, but I don't know. You're kind of looking at Wilson's a touchdown dependent almost.
Yeah. But I have my best point differential against Matt, 146 points positive, but Matt did win the last one against me.
So that's my second pick. Adam, what are you doing for your second pick?
This is tough because it's a few lopsided ones. I guess I'm going to go with Trevor for 4.2 again. So
All
both
right.
my picks are for
4.2?
4.2 points. But we'll see. I like it just every week we look at Evan's team, there's a bunch of questionables and someone tears their ACL. It's the sad truth, but it's the truth.
Look how they massacred my boy.
He's starting Robert Woods this week.
Bobby Trees.
It's a good matchup against Pittsburgh, but it's Robert Woods. Tennessee passing has been gross, so don't love Hopkins. Judy, limited still. Like, is the knee still bothering him? Miles Sanders popped up on the injury report. Is he going to be 100% good to go? I could see this being a huge Gibbs week for him. I think Gibbs could finally kind of break out against Green Bay, rivalry game. Could kind of go off here. But I also like Puka again to, without Cup, eat. And T. Higgins so far is at a bad week, then a good week, then a bad week. I think maybe he bounces back here with a good week, and I think Trevor does enough to get the win. Trevor and Evan are 3-3 all time. A lot of good games in the past. And this is Trevor going for win number 50. And he'd be the first Sock League member to ever reach 50 wins. So he's going to be a little more hungry for this one.
Can't fault that logic there. For my final pick, it's 2 blowouts. I'm going to take the one that will yield me the most points by 0.2, and I'm going to take Griffin over Steve.
You're going to regret that.
Am
Year
I?
of the Cran.
Why?
Year of the Cran.
I might. Reason being, McKinnon versus Jets. Jets defense very good. The Chiefs still might win by 20, but it's going to be a hard-fought 20. McLaurin versus Philly also doesn't draw the best matchup. And for Griff, I do like Swift versus Washington's defense. He's been on fire. You'd be a fool to trade him before the season. Who would ever do that?
Swift back in his hometown of Philly? Only an idiot.
Ayuk might be back. He logged limited today. That's as far as we know. Hopefully he can come back strong. Obviously, you got Justin Jefferson. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Panthers are a sturdy pass defense team. But like I said, wait to the second half when the defense is out there every, 4 plays.
Yeah.
And maybe Raheem Mostert keeps it going against Buffalo, and what you were saying could be a shootout. Only really big concern for Griffin is Pollard against New England. New England's been pretty stout. And as I answered my question before, New England's going to be the 4:25 game only on Fox. So that's going to be fun.
I do think this should maybe be a little bit closer in percentage. I do think Griff's going to win. But San Fran's defense hasn't been as amazing as I think some of us thought it would be for fantasy so far. So maybe... And Arizona's definitely surprised with being a lot better. So maybe James Conner finds the end zone. Has an okay week. We talked about the Las Vegas Chargers game. Possibility for a shootout. So maybe Jacoby Myers gets going again. And maybe this is the Kincaid week in the shootout against Miami. Maybe they finally get him going. I don't know. Miami's defense hasn't been.
Adam. Buffalo has Gabe Davis. They're just fine.
That is true. But I think it should maybe be a little bit closer than what is projected. But definitely understand going with Griff. Griff dominated their one prior matchup, winning by 62 points.
This is where Adam goes for the big 7.1.
This is where I take... Should I? No, I'm going to go with Ethan.
No.
I'm going to go with Ethan for 2.9 points.
Is that our lowest to date so far?
I don't remember, but I think there was another tour. But I
think I did take a tour last week.
This is because James is screwing me. Still got Tony Jones in the lineup, projected 1.5.
Brother.
He should be projected like 10. Oh, well. But yeah, Travis Kelce, probably going to destroy the Jets. Taylor there again, it's over. Diggs, shoot on Miami, man, he'll probably do good. Chase seems to be back, gonna do good.
Atlanta's defense looked awful last week.
Keenan just dropped 45. I think Ethan
wins this one.
Might have this one in the bag.
Yeah, I think he rolls this one up and smokes it.
He is 2-2. They are 2-2 all time against each other. Last game decided was by 0.8 points in a James win. So very, very close James win. Will he sneak it out again? I think not.
Yeah,
But you never
especially
know.
again. I keep going back to to remind you that the Chiefs are playing the Jets. I'm not saying that Mahomes is not going to do well. I'm going to say that
I
he's
think
going
the
to.
last time Mahomes played the Jets, he dropped like 50.
But that was before they had the good defense. They didn't have Sauce Gardner. That's the difference.
True.
He's going to keep Kadarius Toney under wraps.
True. He
Or
will.
Or put him on Kelsey. I don't know.
They won't do that, and Kelsey will just burn us over and over again. Can't wait to watch that Sunday night game.
Let me go give Rob a call real quick.
Yay. But
Hey, prime time. You know, it was a little cooler when you had Rodgers, but hey, Brees Hall in prime time.
So we'll see if you make up any points this week.
Yeah, I'm trailing for the first time this year.
Trailing for the first time this year. Could be pretty close after this week if we get all of ours right. But that'll wrap up this show.
Yeah, the emoji to text this week is gonna be the cracked egg emoji, or just like I don't know, just something to do with eggs.
Don't
Just
send an egg. Send me a trade instead. Ryan was telling me earlier he gets trades from everybody. No one sends me trades.
Not exactly great trades.
True.
Yeah.
Evan will send me. Who's the person Evan's trying to trade now?
J.K. Dobbins or Jerry Jeudy.
No.
That's what he sent an offer for me, but it was for my own first.
Let me guess who he's trying to trade now. Probably like
Michael Carter.
Mike Gesicki or something. Yeah, Michael Carter. I'll get a Michael Carter deal soon. It'll be fun. I'll decline it, and then, yeah, that'll be it.
But that's all for now. So send Adam a trade if you got this far, or something to do.
Or
with
send Ryan
eggs.
a trade. Or send Ryan an egg.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Mail me an egg. See you next week.